Okay, guys, before we get into this episode, I just want to let you guys know that we had a lot of audio technical difficulties when recording this podcast. So, the first about 10 minutes are going to be really, really bad audio. So, if you want to just skip that, I'm going to leave a timestamp in the description so you guys know if you want to just skip that. We did talk about some interesting stuff, nothing important, but if you guys want, you can skip that. I'll leave a timestamp in the description. Other than that, hope you guys enjoy the episode. All right, guess we're in it.
Are we ready for that? Are we ready for today? It's coming off of Thanksgiving,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah, what a week.
And I was out of town, climbing mountains and shit, and of course, you got Thanksgiving dinners and lunches and all that stuff. I guess we can start there.
Yeah. Okay, well,
Thanksgiving.
hold on. Before we do that, I kind of want to rant a little bit
Okay.
because any fans of the podcast know from episode 2 that I'd never watched Star Wars at that point
No.
in my life. No,
I've never seen it.
I watched Star Wars 1, the first one that came out.
When did you watch it?
Over the span of a few days. So
Right.
this was it took me maybe a total of about 80 hours to watch it.
What?
Because it's that bad. Okay, I watched Star Wars: A New Hope. Okay, it came out in 1977. I wanted to watch
Right, that's the first
from
one.
the first one that came out
Yep.
to where we're at today, and I watched it. The first one took me a long time because I had to take a lot of breaks.
You were treating this like a Murph workout. You were taking breaks.
It was so hard to watch.
What? Okay, give me a review of what
My review,
you thought.
my analysis after watching that is it's probably one of my least favorite movies of all time.
Well, okay, consider obviously technology wasn't where it is.
I considered that, and I thought, okay, what was
about the
around that
story?
time? I hated it.
Nothing.
No, okay, look, okay, let me. So we go. The first act was probably my favorite, but I had to have someone explain to me what was going on because I had no idea what was going on. It's like they tried to fit too much stuff into that first part of the movie. And again, this is my favorite part of the movie.
Okay.
And I still think there was just too much in there going on, and I couldn't really follow it very well.
So off of last episode, you tried something new.
Yeah, that was 2 episodes ago.
Two episodes,
Yeah.
yes. And it didn't work out for you.
No.
It wasn't your thing.
No.
But you learned that.
Not at all.
Because you tried something new.
Yeah.
If we're gonna get a positive out of this at all, is that
I know never to watch another Star Wars movie again.
What about any of the new ones? Are you gonna give any of those a shot? Because
I mean,
technically it's not in the right storyline order. So you could come back to those older ones later because you'd have to watch some of the. I don't know the exact order.
Here's the thing, though. Every Star Wars fan that I've ever talked to or seen online always says that the prequels are worse than the originals and the new ones are starting to suck more and more. So if I hated what is probably considered one of the best, how am I supposed to enjoy any of the ones that people say are worse than that one?
Well, I think, though, you're not a fan of the movie. The new ones, to me, they're not at all similar. Or I haven't even watched all the new ones, to be honest, so I guess my opinion doesn't really count much. But I don't like the new ones. It's just because technology's upgraded now. It's all flashy and it looks good.
Yeah.
But to me, I can't get into it. The original ones for me are the story, and all the other crap is just crap. It doesn't really matter to me. So I guess my point is that you're not coming from the same side of things as me. You might really like the new ones because it's got all the zazz and stuff that the movies today have anyway.
Yeah.
The actors and actresses, it's probably just better.
Well,
but it might be a better... and they run off so many different ways with it, too. So
I know... Okay, here's the thing. Up until about the last act of the movie, I was having fun with it. It's goofy. It's a goofy old movie. It's goofy,
right.
And it's fun. Like the lightsaber battle between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi. I was laughing the whole time. it was hilarious because it wasn't
You
even
didn't
really.
like the the
There
choreo.
was no choreography, really.
Yeah, oh
It's like the
yeah,
director
man.
just told. There was at one point where Obi-Wan Kenobi spins in a circle, does like a spin move, and
Right.
it really does nothing, but it's
It's
hilarious.
flashy as hell though.
It's
It
hilarious.
could you
Have you
could.
seen? When's the last time you saw that fight?
When was the last time you were in a fight, say in this galaxy, and dude, the spin move in any kind of fight is warranted because you throw your opponent off. You freak them out, dude. If
I'm
any
telling you.
watch any YouTube fights in real life, like they're all on whatever social media, YouTube. If some dude came at you spinning, I don't think you're gonna mess
But
with
it's
that
like
guy.
it's this old man who kind of like it's not even really like a cool spin. He like stumbles when he
Yeah.
spins.
Well, then you might just feel bad for the guy and let him take that one for the day.
It was
I don't know.
hilarious. I was laughing, but then the third act comes, and I literally almost fell asleep like 4 times. That was the most boring 40 minutes of a movie I have ever watched. It was nothing.
You just watched the first one.
Yeah,
Okay.
there was nothing interesting about that last fight in the spaceships. Characters were dying that I didn't know who they were or cared about. I didn't know what was happening. It was boring. I hated it.
Well, here's the thing. You're not, from my perspective, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, personally.
Yeah.
I've watched the originals, and that's about it. But I grew up in that time frame to where, that was the technology, even early 90s, like, that was still pretty good, and it introduced us to something else. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if you were talking about it from where movies came from and went to after that, they still were probably a predecessor to like a lot of the movies we knew in the 90s, and then those movies into the 2000s. Like it was still a block in the right direction, a stepping stone in the right direction. But yeah, I mean, today compared to today's movies, yeah, I don't know. And you're in that generation.
And just for a movie with such high praise and such a big budget, $11 million. I looked it up. The choreography is just it was incredibly.
They had to spend it.
They spent all that money on the CGI and then forgot to
Right.
write a good story.
Ooh.
Forgot to get a choreographer to choreograph the fight
Yeah.
scenes.
Yeah. Well, okay.
And then
So-
there's one point for a movie, and I like the score, and score in a movie is important to me.
It gets you pumped up.
Star Wars is, I'll admit, it has one of the greatest cinematic scores of all time, up there with Rocky, right?
Okay.
There was one part in the movie where there was no music whatsoever. It was when they're in that trash compactor and
Yeah.
Luke's being drugged underwater by some monster that is never revealed.
Just awkward, like you're sitting in a room.
They're just like splashing and grunting and there's no music.
Yeah.
And again, that's part of the goofiness that I found charming, but once it got to the third act, I realized I hated the movie.
Well, the good thing is we're not a movie critic podcast.
Yeah, no.
I think the takeaway is you tried it.
Yeah,
It didn't
for
work
sure.
for you. I'm gonna stumble into something here. I don't know if the listeners can hear it. We got some music in the background, and I thought about this over my trip for Thanksgiving. I was out of town. Ended up being in the mountains, on a mountain on Thanksgiving Day, about 9 miles. I was dying. Altitude is not our thing here in Texas. And for some reason, I just thought, like, music. Like, what kind of music do people like to work out to, and how much it affects them, if at all, and negatively, positively, like. So one of the things I wanted to throw out there for the listeners and the viewers is, like, I want some feedback, and this is just quick Q&A. Like, what music do you listen to when you work out? Whether it's CrossFit, at home, at Gold's Gym, whatever. What do you got in your earphones or on your boombox and all that stuff? And then I was going to throw the question to you, too. Like, what music do you prefer to listen to when working out, and how does music affect you, if at all?
It's usually rock. I like listening to rock when I work out.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm like powerlifting, gets me in the mood. Hip hop's good too.
Yeah.
I usually just find a playlist on iTunes or Spotify and just hit
That's
shuffle.
another question. Is like,
But
where
now
are you going
now,
for the music? And iTunes
Yeah.
is a big one. So again, for those that are listening and watching, like, comment on what's your go-to playlist, or who do you use? Spotify, iTunes. I think Amazon's got a music. thing.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, everybody's got one. I think Blockbuster has one.
Got one store left.
You know,
there's
they have one store left, and it's in Alaska.
Alaska? I thought it was in like Kansas or somewhere.
No, I read Blockbuster has one store left, and this could be, social media at its worst, just making shit up. But what I read was Blockbuster has one store left, and it's in Alaska. I think they sent all their shit to Alaska, and that's where it's at, because you can't, I guess, do anything else in Alaska.
They could have survived. They could have survived if they got into the digital world quicker, and I think they tried. They tried.
They might have tried, but
too late.
They didn't jump into
Netflix had already crushed that market.
Yeah. Man, we are ranting today.
We are.
If you're in Alaska, let us know if there's a local Blockbuster up there. I mean, that's vintage right there. I was all about Blockbusters back in the day. Let us know if there's a Blockbuster in Alaska or wherever there might be one. And then
Blockbuster, if you want to sponsor our podcast, that'd be
wow. Yeah, what do you got left? I don't know. I mean,
we will support you fully.
Yes, I mean VHS. Here we come. We're gonna be on that tape recorder. And then let us know what music that you listen to / what who do you use? iTunes, Amazon. What else is there? Spotify. What other big ones are there?
YouTube.
Do you still burn CDs? Stuff like that. Let us know what kind of music. That'd be a cool topic, maybe to dive into a little more deeper on the next podcast.
I'm gonna start listening to the Star Wars soundtrack.
I like the Stranger Things.
Soundtrack. That's a good one.
The actual original score and music to it. I like that. I don't know I haven't tried it working out, but I do listen to it. So, man, okay, we went on a nice little rant to start with today, and that's not even the topic of today's podcast. Today's podcast is going to dive in a little ahead of schedule, but New Year's is right around the corner. And what we really want to talk about and want feedback on is how do people approach New Year's? Kind of our concept on how we're going to approach it, and maybe something new for other people to try when New Year's is around the corner. Everybody's going to set up New Year's resolutions, right? Yeah. And so we want to dive into that. I think a little later on too. We're going to talk about some head colds remedies. We thought we'd throw out the tip of the podcast there. And, of course, we're going to end up with some CrossFit at the end. A sanctional event has went down already, and we're going to dive in that later on in the episode as well. Filthy 150. So after this break, guys, we will dive into those topics. We'll be right back.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning into the Olympian Project. Just a quick reminder that we are on iTunes, Spotify, and on YouTube in video format, as well as the Wednesday WOD. First episode just went up last week, so if you're interested, go check that out. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode.
So, we've got Thanksgiving out of the way. Mm-hmm. We've got Christmas coming up, right? Have you done your holiday shopping?
I shopped for myself.
You get yourself Christmas presents?
Not typically, but I did. I just bought myself that new pair of AirPods that I've been wanting.
Oh, you got those?
Oh yeah.
What are they called?
The AirPod Pros.
The Pros.
I'm a professional listener now.
Yeah, now you're officially professional.
Yeah.
And are you happy with your purchase?
Oh yeah. I mean,
are they different than the last ones?
Oh, for sure. I mean, the original AirPods was probably one of my favorite products I've ever owned. I loved them ever since I bought them.
Really?
Easy $150 spend. These are a little bit more expensive. They're about $250.
Ooh.
But for that extra $100,
did you get them Black Friday?
No, they didn't.
They didn't have a deal.
No. But you get the noise cancellation and you get the transparency mode, which is basically like, have you ever wore shooting headphones?
Yeah.
They kind of you're basically hearing the world in HD.
Right.
That's kind of what that does, but not on such a dramatic level.
Right.
So yeah, definitely.
So you did some shopping, but it was for yourself. Yeah. I haven't done any Christmas shopping yet. No. I've got some lists to be made. So that is around the corner. Of course, holidays follow up with food, and we saw that in Thanksgiving. Another question to fall back on to trying new things. How did your Thanksgiving plate look? Did you do any rabbit food?
No.
You didn't try nothing?
No.
You didn't try nothing new there. So, we got Star Wars on the plate.
Here's the thing. Like, I tried, in my head, I was thinking I should try some of this stuff,
but food doesn't work for me.
Doesn't work.
It just, if I know I'm probably not gonna like something, I'm not gonna like
That's
it.
the wrong mentality.
It is.
Look, guys, that's the thing about the Olympian project.
And,
we're here to work too. We're
here's the
trying to
other
get
thing.
better too.
A lot of that food had food in it that I already know I don't like broccoli and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
So if I know I don't like broccoli and there's like a bowl of vegetables with broccoli, I don't even know what it was, but
Right.
I know I'm not gonna like it. So I figure.
We're still working on him, guys. Okay?
And here's the other thing too. If it's something that I know I'm not gonna like, or I might not like, and then I go to put it on my plate and then throw it away,
yeah.
I kind of feel like
You're wasting.
Yeah.
Somebody else could have had that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds like an excuse to me. And I'm gonna tack that up for an excuse. So we didn't make any headway on the rabbit food plate.
No.
But okay, so we got Christmas coming up. We still got some time. It's about 3 weeks, a little over 3 weeks, and what falls right after that, it's New Year's, and a lot of people for their health and fitness, that's the time of the year. That 1 week. They've got all the big plans, and they make the resolutions, the famous resolution. I'm going to make it work this year. 2020 is going to be my year. What resolutions did you set up last year? Did you have any?
I've never really been a resolution person.
Right.
I set goals, like sometimes, like this year it was I wanted to reach certain numbers in my lifts.
Yeah.
But resolutions, it's never been a thing for me.
Yeah.
At least not on New Year's. There's times during the year where I want to.
Well, and I think this is a perspective too that are you 19 yet? No, you're 18.
18.
You're 18. Life hasn't beaten you down quite as much, I'm sure. And I
Not
think
yet.
I'm trying to think back when I was 18, 19, even 20 years old. I don't know if I had a whole lot of New Year's resolutions. Like I just did what I wanted to do at that point. I definitely find that there's motivation to New Year's resolutions, but I think as you're going to listen to this podcast and watch it, you're going to find out that we're kind of anti New Year's resolutions, and we're going to talk and dive into like why are we waiting kind of thing. But last year, I don't know if I had anything specific. Oh, you know what? I did have one, and
Oh yeah,
I did have one.
remember.
and it's actually been on. It's still a topic of conversation. My big New Year's resolution last year was give more hugs.
Yeah.
And I started off really hot, and this is a good example for probably things that are more important. But like, I'm not a huggy person, which is surprising if you don't know it's not. But my New Year's resolution: give more hugs. I made it very aware, and these were steps. I was fairly successful at this one for most of the year. I made it. People knew that I was supposed to give more hugs, right? And that was the biggest thing for me being successful at this New Year's resolution was having other people do what? Hold me accountable. Because I told them, I told them that I was going to give more hugs, and they forced me into it when I didn't even want to.
I think I give you a few awkward hugs.
Man, that's always awkward. I know your dad gave me plenty of hugs early on, and that's never a tough thing for him. He I don't know. Me and him have some good hugs, but overall, I did fall off a little bit. But just like the other day, somebody came up to me and was talking about the hug thing, and was like, you got to give me a hug, And so, I don't know. I think I made it. I put myself in an awkward position and told everybody that was my New Year's resolution, and it actually,
but it worked.
That was probably the most 100% the most successful New Year's resolution that I've ever had in my life.
It's a simple one.
It is, but you say that. I don't know if you're a hugger.
I'll accept hugs, but I don't go out and actively.
I'm awkward when it comes to people giving me hugs.
Yeah.
So it's not a matter of giving them and getting. It's all of it. The whole hugging thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, there's the whole thing of
you say that's easy.
Whose arms go over, and it's a complicated process.
Where, up, down. Like, are we doing the side hug? Are we doing full frontal? Like, it can be awkward. For sure. And for me, like somebody says, like it could be easy, right? But there's people probably that give hugs regularly. I mean, like, my mom's got to tell me, like, hey, come give me a hug. It's been like 2 months. That's the kind of hugger that I was. Yeah. So, no, it wasn't necessarily easy. I think I just had to set myself up. So, anyway, New Year's resolutions. This concept that
like, okay, Christmas, December is pretty tough, right? Because of the holidays. You're traveling. You're probably not in your regular routine. You're eating foods that other people are cooking, whether you've been on track or not. Of course, most of it's sugar-filled, fatty-filled, carb-heavy. Like, all the good-tasting stuff is terrible for you. And we've got a lot of good excuses to eat crappy food, right, during the holidays. And then we do all this stuff. We don't work out as much, probably. We're on the go. We're shopping, taking family out. We're traveling. We're eating crap. And it's like somehow that January, really probably second for most, we're going to just flip the script. Like, how does – what is your take on that concept?
Yeah, I mean, totally. I mean, in any – no matter what time of year it is, if you just decide one day I'm going to – completely turn my life around, I'm gonna break every bad habit, and it's not gonna work. That's way too much at one time for your brain to go, okay, we're doing this differently and this differently, and also this over here.
And I think the New Year's resolution that really hurts people, because right now there are already people thinking like, I'm gonna get my life together in 2020, like I'm gonna get it together. But what do? They go, I know I'm going to change my diet then. I know I'm going to get back in the gym then. And they go all out during December. They this is the last hoorah. Yeah. So I think the New Year's resolution is so it's so terrible in the sense that like it almost sets us up. Well, one, it sets us up for failure, but we also then excuse ourselves even more when the battle should be, always being thought of. And yes, you're going to have cheat days, right? You're going to have things that come up, life's going to happen, but like, you're giving yourself the excuse all month now because you say, I'm going to get back there in January. So I think the concept is,
I mean, you do that, you already have, say your habit's eating, candy. Right. And you have a bad habit every time you walk into a convenience store, you see a Hershey's chocolate bar, you pick it up, and then December you're going to amplify that. Basically turn it into a super habit. Right. An addiction almost.
And then, you're going to amplify the addiction. And then January, you're going to say, I'm going to cut it all out. Yeah. And that week, you're gung-ho, you're ready to go. It's a new year, new you. And I do like that part. But you just went balls out, like you're Ozzy Osbourne at, Woodstock. And there's no quick recovery to that. And so now, what do you do? Like, I guess what we're getting at is like, you don't get up in the morning, like wake up and now you're at work. Mm-hmm. Like you don't open your eyes and then go straight, like now I'm at work. Like you have to get ready to go to work. And so metaphorically speaking, let's just use this instance, right? You can't just open your eyes and be at work. You got to wake up. We talked about morning routine as being key, but that's not really the point. The point is you have to wake up. You got to get your clothes on. You got to brush your teeth. You got to shower. You might get a breakfast, and then you go to work. So you're preparing yourself to do something, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're saying New Year's, I'm going to do this and that, you have to prepare to do those things. And so to sit there and say, I'm going to open my eyes and change everything one day to the next it's just, you're not setting yourself up for that success. And we got somebody about to take us out in here. So I think what it is if you're going to have those New Year's resolutions, that's awesome. I think there is benefits to that. I think there's some point you got to say that enough is enough and make the change. But you have to be preparing this month for it. And I think you said something earlier, too, when we were just talking. It's like, why are you waiting?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. It's at any point you can decide, you want to be better and in any aspect of life. Why are you why does it have to be on January 1st? Why can't it be this week? Why can't it be this hour?
And if it's not November 1st, why is it going to change in January?
Yeah.
And I don't want to take away the motivation, new year, new you kind of concept. I just don't want people to just completely fall out in December because they think that's going to be completely different because of the date on a calendar. Yeah. So I think at minimum you should be preparing yourself for a complete change in January, which means, all right, I'm going to go paleo. Let's just take that for instance, right? And if you know paleo, we're talking about the big things. The big notes are meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, very little sugar, and that means probably coming from fruits, and then no heavy starches, so no white potatoes, no breads, no dairy. So you got all these things you got to change. Let's just say you're eating some fast food, you make sandwiches, and you know you're going to cut those things out. So now you got to start, I think you got to start prepping for that now. You've got to start at least doing your homework, maybe cutting some of that out at a very minimal rate, at least through December. Meaning you can't just disregard the diet leading up into that.
Well, here's the thing, and you gave the analogy of preparation, and you don't just wake up in work. You have to get up and you have to get ready.
Right.
I mean, another way to look at it is it's something that takes practice. Any sort of habit you have in your life, whether it's good or bad, it's something that develops over time. It doesn't just happen, So another analogy might be any sport you play. You don't start playing baseball when you're a kid and already know how to hit, pitch, and run,
Right.
That's something you have to practice.
Sure.
So when you're developing a habit, it's something that you might have to ease into. So why not, start easing into it now with your preparation?
I think what we definitely are trying to say, you should be starting today, right? Or you should have started last month. It's okay that you didn't, but if you're talking about January and New Year's resolutions already, and maybe you're not, maybe you don't even give a shit, but if you are thinking next year is going to be my year, and it's going to be a lot of different things, not just health and fitness, I'm going to go get that job. Right now, you should be doing the little things to build that resume, or start looking into it, or start putting it out. Don't put things off. Maybe that's the whole point, right? It's not really about New Year's resolutions. Now, again, I don't want to take away the fact that you want to change your life, and New Year's seems like the best way to do it. And the thing is, you're going to be living one life and try to go complete flip on January. Maybe it should also be the concept of what your New Year's resolution is. So maybe all right, this is going to be the complete blowout, whatever. And then you get to New Year's and you're like, I'm going to go complete paleo tomorrow. Well, maybe it shouldn't be just completely changed. I'm going to be in the gym every day. It should be, I'm going to start going to the gym 3 days a week, and I'm going to cut out, I'm only going to have a sandwich twice in this week, and I'll have 2 cheat meals if you were completely just going all out. So maybe the concept of the New Year's resolution has to change a little bit too, because again, we're human. We're going to make mistakes, and we have excuses, but those are just that. They're excuses, and they're going to pop up all the time, and they're going to be legitimate, but you almost, because I'm failing, and that's a new excuse. That's why I don't move forward with it anymore. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So, I have a lot of people, and we kind of talked about this too, my goal is 20-pound PR, and I only made 15-pound PR. I guess I'm just not going to make it. No, dude, you just made a 15-pound PR, more than you've ever done. Or a time, 2 minutes, you wanted 3 minutes off your mile, or not mile, but 5K, and you only did 2 minutes off. You're still moving the right direction. And people use that as an excuse. And I've seen it before, as I just didn't do as well as I thought, and then they just fall in a hole. So anyway, that's a little bit of rant off the side, but it's easy to find excuses off your path for sure.
Do you think that Steve Jobs waited till January 1st to start Apple?
That's a good point. Actually, I don't think that. I think when he had an idea and a concept to be better, he just did it.
Yeah.
And because there's another thing. If you wait for January to be a different person and the New Year's resolution doesn't stick. It's just like my hugs. They kind of faded, and then it came back up, and then it faded. If I built my whole premise of my life being successful on that New Year's resolution, I'm going to get to maybe June and say, I got to wait till next year.
And then it may never come back,
Well, yeah, I might have just completely changed or don't have a chance now. Yeah. Or at least I feel that way.
Yeah.
Right? You always have a chance. But, yeah, I think that's a good point. Steve Jobs, some of the most successful people, it's a nonstop thing. And I'm sure he fought with himself well, no, I don't even know that. I think he got up when he had an idea and he did it.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that's what it takes, you know? It's not I'm gonna wait, I'm gonna, wait till the right time. It's nah, do it today. Why are you waiting?
Do you think that like
Can we address this real quick?
Well, we may have to stop everything. One of our members, Nick
Sir,
aka Adam, has bubbles outside our window and is blowing bubbles. You know what? And I think somehow I'm going to fit this into this podcast right now. And that is blowing bubbles can bring the dreams home.
I can't. We got a break.
All right, we're going to go to a break and we're going to come right back.
All right, guys, before we get back into the podcast, I just want to let you guys know that we do have a Patreon account for those of you who want to support the Olympian Project and what we are trying to accomplish. Here, go to patreon.com/Olympian Project. There you'll be able to access bonus content such as monthly bonus episodes of the podcast, plus a few other perks like being able to listen to the podcast a day early and shout-outs in the podcast as well as Q&A priority. And if you want to support the podcast for free, and I'm going to stress that it's free, to go to iTunes and leave us a review, leave us a rating. It helps us out a lot. Thank you guys so much, and let's get back into the episode.
All right.
Lost composure a little bit there.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. We had well, he'll be a guest soon enough.
Soon. Very soon.
We've got some good stuff for y'all moving forward, and for those that do want to support the podcast, eventually we'll have our Patreon. What is that? You can explain it better than me.
Patreon tiers?
We'll have different tiers, and we'll have some bonus content, basically, and that will be a part of that for sure. So anyway, back, and we'll wrap up kind of what we were talking about with New Year's resolutions, and how, again, I think there's some positives to it, and there's some huge negatives to it. And basically what I want to leave off with is, if you got you got something in mind that you want to do for 2020, start today. It might not be the full resolution, but start putting the pieces in play that are going to make you successful for that resolution that you might have, or that change that you want in 2020. Anything you want to end on with that?
No, not really. I think we covered it. Got it pretty good.
So that was New Year's resolutions. And one other thing, the tip of the podcast today, we're going to talk a little bit about head colds because it's that time of year. And you said you had a little home remedy that your parents and your family uses?
Yeah, no, I actually went through a head cold, pretty bad one, a few weeks ago. It basically incapacitated me.
Yeah.
No, we use elderberry is something that my mom started.
Elderberry?
Elderberry.
Is this like a product or?
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of companies that sell it. You can find it pretty much anywhere. Kroger probably has it. She started bringing this home to us. I think my grandmother told her about it, but it's essentially just a supplement, an immunity supplement.
How do you take it? What do? You drink it or something?
Well, it comes in like a liquid form, and then I've also taken it in like a little capsule form, in like a chewable. Both of them taste disgusting. It's terrible. It's really bitter. If you don't like bitter flavors, it's pretty nasty. But it might not work for you. I didn't even believe it the first time.
Elderberry.
Times I took it.
So it's a plant. Can't even say this. Sambucus is a genus of flowering plants in the family Adoxaceae.
Something like that.
Might be French. I don't know. I'm from Texas. Remember that, guys. I have
We're
a terrible
uncultured.
accent. Yeah, very uncultured. The various species are commonly called elder or elderberry. The genus was formerly placed in the honeysuckle family, but was reclassified as another word that the one I tried to say, I can't say it. Please, anybody that's listening that knows plants, let me know what this Adoxaceae is, because I don't know.
We'll call it elderberry.
Yeah, well, so that's the
Yeah, no, it's but
that's
I mean,
the street term.
The times
I'm trying to give scientific terms.
Yeah, the times I've taken it, it seemed to work a little bit. I think it's something you're supposed to supplement, either if you feel a cold coming on or you have a cold. But yeah, a few times I've taken it, it seemingly helped. It might be a little bit placebo, or I
Right.
bet, but it's worth a try because I mean, my mom's a huge advocate for it.
Have you ever tried neti pots before?
I've never even heard that word.
Neti pot?
No.
So, I mean, you can do these things with like a teapot or a teapot, but they actually make a product now. It's a little plastic, looks like a teapot, and they put like a saline solution in there with some warm water, and you actually take the neti pot and you put it up one nozzle or nostril, and you lean back and it comes out the other. So what it does is that solution runs through your nose there, and it basically helps clean out. Now, again, this is going to be early stages of, say, like a head cold. It's not going to go deep into those little chambers that holds all that good stuff for you. But I use one quite a bit. If you got a stuffy nose, like it'll break it up and at least help you sleep at night. I wouldn't say it's a complete cure or remedy for a head cold, but it makes life a little bit easier because a head cold will build that pressure and get that headache going and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So
Dwight, I don't know if we are fans of The Office here at the Olympian Project, but there's a scene where Dwight says he's going to use Pam's teapot for that.
That's exactly
I
what
always
it
thought
is.
it was a joke.
No,
there's some stuff in that show that I think's a joke that Dwight says,
all
but some
real,
of it's
man.
serious.
It's a little too serious when it comes from Dwight, but that's actually a real thing. You could take a regular teapot like that and do it, and it has the same flow basically, and you gotta have the solution that they make with it. But man, anytime I feel one coming on, it is vital for me. So they also do like a spray bottle now, which is pretty intense. Check it out. And there's a good plug for a podcast that we both listen to.
The Office Ladies.
The Office Ladies.
Yeah.
So if you've ever watched The Office, that is the place to go. They're like going back on all the episodes.
Watching all the episodes.
And they talk about some behind the scenes stuff, which is really cool. If you're a fan. If you don't like The Office, then
something's wrong with you. First off.
Whoa.
I know I don't like Star Wars, but The Office.
See, something's wrong with you, man.
The Office is.
All right. Well, I kind of agree with that. So we're going to move into some CrossFit stuff, right?
Yeah.
We had a sanctional event. And
that I didn't know about.
Well, and that says more about you than probably the listeners. No, well, they don't have any social media content now, right? And even the website they're not even updated on their leaderboard yet for this sanctional event, which of course is run. It was a competition out of Ireland, not necessarily run by CrossFit, but obviously supported as a sanctional. So
it's basically impossible to know what's going on with CrossFit and
on a regular basis.
Unless you really go in every day and are looking for stuff. But I mean I did see Jacob Hepner doing the qualifying events, which I didn't even realize it was a sanctional. That's
I gotta say I fell off a little bit too because I thought it was more of like the Legends event that the Rogue hosted. I thought it was just a fun CrossFit event, maybe. And I knew it looked like it was obviously supported by CrossFit itself. I just didn't put two and two together. I didn't see the announcement. I just didn't see it. And that's my fault for not following it. And it's also, I believe, the first one of they didn't have this sanctional last year. So I wasn't looking for that name, I guess.
Yeah.
So if you're a CrossFitter, and this is kind of that portion of the podcast where we kind of dive into it, this is obviously relevant to CrossFit and the world and the sport of CrossFit. So we wanted to talk about that a little bit. If you can see it and you're watching it on YouTube, we do have the leaderboard posted up, but we're going to go over that a little bit and see who actually is in the games based on this qualifier. Yeah. What do you see there?
So we got Sigmund's daughter up at the top there. Big win for her.
Sarah Sigmund's daughter.
Yeah, she's hasn't performed too well the past few games. I think 1 year recently she was injured.
Yeah.
Had to be taken out, but there she is at the top, earning her spot. I'm not sure she wasn't qualified before this, correct?
Well, I'm gonna pull that up, and she was. No, that's completely wrong.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was number one in the world.
Okay. Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. And I knew that, but I had to refresh it real quick.
So that means second place we got Kristen Holte,
which finished third in the world.
And did she qualify?
Well, top 20. Will qualify.
All top 20 qualify.
All top 20 in the world will qualify. Now, of course, they got to accept that, which I don't know why they wouldn't. So I think, and I got to, if I could pull it up, they didn't have it on their website. I didn't see it. Who actually got to accept it, and it might be this Emma McQuaid.
Yeah.
Oh no, she was 7th. Keep going down the list.
So
I'll look.
Andrea Solberg.
Andrea Solberg. Okay, let's see. I don't see Andrea Solberg, so she might have been. Yeah, she looks like to be the girls' qualifier out of that.
Yeah. Was she first in her country? Because that's something.
That's another question too. So kind of got to piece all this stuff together.
Yeah, it's impossible to know.
A couple notes. Katrin was 23rd in the world, and did she do this competition?
It doesn't look like it.
No.
I figure she'd be higher. We would have seen her by now.
Yeah. So there's a couple names that we're not as familiar with, but definitely these top couple here.
So, but from the looks of it, the first place person who hasn't made it to the games, obviously they get their ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like it's Andrea Solberg. We got Samantha Briggs in 5th. So that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
she was. Now again, I think she went last year into the Masters division. Sam Briggs.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
I can't remember.
And so I don't know if she was legitimately trying to fight. Now I'm noticing on CrossFit's website here too, they have a line after the 33rd female. So maybe they changed up their. See, this is the thing. CrossFit's still trying to figure it out.
I thought it was still top 40 at
40.
one point.
No, it was top 20 last year.
Because I know when we had, during the Open, we had, I don't know if you know, we had all that stuff with people getting penalties in certain workouts.
Sure.
And they had to clarify a bunch of that stuff up. And it seemed they were saying that they checked the top 40 athletes in the world, and then by each workout. So I figured that meant the top 40 get their spot.
I'm kind of confused because then I go over to the guys and they took the top 28. Well, they have a line, and usually that line's a cutoff line of qualification. And it looks like Logan Collins was 28th. Looks like the last name under that blue or above that blue line, and right below it is Sean Sweeney at 29. And if that's the case, and it looks like we're gonna have to do a little bit more homework for the next podcast. Because it isn't as cut and dry. The year before, it was top 20 in the world, and then everybody got a national champion. So I'm going to have to really dive into that file and get that information for you guys. But it looks like 28 from the guys and then 33 from the women. Is that, and again, if you're listening and following and you got some insight on this, let us know. We're not necessarily just a CrossFit podcast, but we like to dive into this stuff, and I'm a little confused on that.
It can't be like a certain percent, like the top 0.1% or something like that. That seems ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know if they would do a percentage like that either, but that's all I'm getting from that. So let's go back to the Filthy 150 because, it's still not that simple. Sarah wins it, but it looks like Andrea Solberg is the one that's going to move forward from it.
So Sigmund's daughter just went for the paycheck.
Well, and that's, a lot of people when everything changed, it seemed like everything was falling apart. And to me, I love this format because it's like we have a season now. And it's kind of like a baseball season. Like there's only about 2 months that something's not happening in the CrossFit world. And unfortunately, they don't have the advertisement because of social media, and they don't have it on some sort of television show or whatever, or network. But we had the Filthy 150. I think, what's next? Is it Wadapalooza?
I couldn't tell you.
Right.
I didn't even know this happened.
Oops, clicked on it. So let's take a look at the males, elite males.
This is interesting because there's a lot of names I'm not familiar with.
Justin Medeiros. Looks like a Canada. Roman Krenikov. Man, we should make a podcast just saying names wrong. And
Tim Paulson, 3rd place, is the only one I recognize.
He's familiar. And Tim Paulson, I don't know if he was individual last year. Let's take a look at the men's board here. Now, Patrick Vellner was number 1 in the world, beat Matt Frazier by 10 points. Yeah. We have a lefteris, these are some names I never heard of. What's Justin Medeiros? Can you say that? Say that for me.
Medeiros? Is
you got a little roll on that?
Is it a roll?
Well,
CrossFit Fort Vancouver.
Justin is not on this list here. Now Roman was, but that doesn't apply. He qualified. It looks like Justin, that first name, is the one they're taking from that competition. Yeah. So that guy, the filthy 150, is moving on.
He got a paycheck and got his ticket to the games.
Right, and that's what I was going to say too about the new format. Like, because there's so many sanctionals, one, I think there's more chances. You can go to any sanctional that you can qualify for, and you can keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. / they're all making some money on these things, and so these athletes are going to make some checks and stay in the game to be able to train. Each event, each sanctional. So I kind of want to look at real quick the workouts for the individuals and talk about that real quick.
Hand walk hurry.
So let's take a look at this, and we're seeing these for the first time too. So you're gonna get our first kind of natural reaction on these workouts. Elite individual event 1, hand walk hurry, and go ahead and break that down for us.
So okay, this is interesting. So it looks like an every 2 minutes right here.
Yes.
But it also says ski 1,000 meters /7 for the ladies for time, and a 20 meter
breakdown here.
I don't understand this at all.
Well, it looks like you ski for time on 0, 2, 4, and 6. 20 meter handstand.
What? Or is it? So you do the ski, but every 2 minutes you do a 20-meter handstand walk?
And if the faster you get the ski done, the more chances you get to do the 20-meter handstand walk. Because, I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know if you're skiing. Oh, okay, I got it. Okay, we missed it. So you have to ski for 1,000 meters, but you have to get off of it and go do 20 meters of walk. Okay, is that what you were saying?
I think that's,
Yeah, okay, so the score is the time for the ski, 700 for the women, 1,000 meters for the guys, and then you, every 2 minutes, you had to do 20 meters on the handstand walk.
It's not a lot.
Didn't get scored. Well, 20 meters, 60 feet, right? So it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's not the shortest thing. You're definitely going to have to probably go unbroken there to get back on that ski because you can't spend much time there. After, you got to start with it too. So a ski, 1,000 meters for guys is probably going to be somewhere around that 2 minutes. And let's talk about the average Joe. Ski is way harder than rowing. I think mainly just because most people don't have a ski erg. We have one. And you definitely don't ski the same pace that you row.
Much slower, much more painful.
Second event for the individuals.
I did see this one, and I got to say, I love this workout.
What is it there, Gear?
21-15-9 classic, bar muscle-ups and back squats.
And that's at kilo, so that would be 109. Is that 205? That's 100 and I can do math. That's like 195 pounds, I think.
Yeah.
2.2.
I saw
180.
I saw Jacob Hepner do this workout on his YouTube channel, and I think you have to take the back squat from the ground. That's how they were doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I did see that one. Okay. Yeah, they were cleaning and getting it up over the back. Yeah. So 21-59. Yeah, I like that. The bar muscle ups. Obviously, you got to be.
That's a lot of muscle ups.
It is for those guys. It probably looked like pull ups. This one, I don't think it's maybe the weight change. Probably if you did this in the gym, a little lighter here. I think if I was to do this in the gym and program it, I'd do like a 135-95, and then you can still stick with bar muscle ups. Maybe like a 15-12-9 or something like that. Third event.
Snatch. It's 1 rep max snatch.
Well, that's simple. 1 rep max snatch. I always like a competition that tests a heavy lift. And just because, I mean, people are going to put effort into it, and it's another piece of the puzzle. It's not everything. And out of, 7 events, 8 events, you had one that you lifted.
And looks, if we scroll down a little bit, they have, so it's 4 lifts every 3 minutes with a 20-second window to lift. So it's not, just you have a time cap to get a, interesting.
Yeah, you got to work under stress and under time there. Fourth event.
Okay, so we got...
This is different with the rope climbs.
Sort of a round type thing. You got 4 rounds of 2 unbroken rope climbs. How do you do an unbroken set of rope climbs?
Well, There must be lines on the ropes. We'd have to check the video out, but
and then in between each round, you run 400 meters.
that to me, the unbroken part of that rope climb is going to be very difficult.
If we scroll down, it might tell us.
Standing on the floor, the rope can be climbed anyhow until clear hand contact is made with the marker at top.
Descent must be completely legless.
Yeah. Everything is legless on this. Or no, sorry. No, it doesn't have to be legless going up. The descent,
you can't
both hands
slide
fully
down the
grip the
rope,
rope
really.
below the bottom marker. So that's what it was.
You can't slide down the rope.
No, you cannot. Well, that changes that.
Yeah.
That's true.
That makes that workout look a lot harder than it is.
Yeah, that makes that pretty disgusting, honestly.
I mean, sliding down the rope, that's a big skill thing that you have to practice, you know?
Event 5, we got spinning Catherine, 160 double unders, 10-meter regional lunge, 24 alternating dumbbell thrusters, 10-meter regional lunge, 24 alternating dumbbell thrusters, 10-meter regional lunge, and 160 double unders.
So, 2 movements that I've never seen here. How
What?
often do we do alternating dumbbell lunges or thrusters?
Alternating dumbbell thrusters. It must be the grip. So regional lunge. Each lunge begins with 1 dumbbell in front rack and 1 overhead. Okay.
Yeah.
I think there's another name for that. But the feet together and the athlete standing. The trailing knee must make contact with the ground at the bottom of each lunge. The weight must remain in the position for the duration of the repetition. The rep ends with the dumbbell still in position, 1 in front rack and 1 overhead, and the athlete standing tall with the hips and knees fully extended.
They have done this at the games before.
Yeah.
Movement, yeah.
Stopping with both feet together on the ground is not required. Alternate. The athlete must alternate which foot leads, so they don't have to alternate the overhead position. 1 in front rack and 1 overhead. So I bet they can change that whenever they want.
Yeah.
The dumbbell thruster. Each set of dumbbell thrusters begin with the dumbbells on the ground.
Dumbbell. 2 dumbbells?
At the start of each rep, the dumbbells are held in front rack position. Dumbbells move from the bottom of the front squat, where the hip crease clearly passes below the full lockout, overhead on one arm with the other remaining in front rack. Okay, so they're doing a thruster where they come up and press only with one.
What?
The other one stays in the front rack position.
Dude.
I like that. I like that.
I mean, it's interesting. I've never seen that before.
The cool thing is I program for a gym, so this is
Yeah.
definitely something to think about.
Maybe we'll do that for a workout.
When's
interesting.
a workout of the week? Event 7. What we got, Gary?
Trek run. It's a 4-kilometer bike and a 1-kilometer run.
Pretty simple.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't seem like it seems more like a sprint rather than a long distance.
Yeah. Not too long distance. So it's less than a 5K on a bike, which is probably 2 miles, 2.5 miles, and then 1 kilometer on a run. Well, this is all in Ireland, so
Yeah.
we're Americans. We do things a little differently. And let's see, 1 kilometer, that's like a half mile or something like that.
Yeah.
Something, I don't know. We'll have to look it up.
Is it? I don't know.
That one's a simple. So you have a lift off, and then you got somebody. You got individuals that can run and move quickly. So that's kind of the other end of the spectrum. Elite 8.
Ooh, so 4 rounds
Or
for
event
time.
8, yeah.
30 calories on the bike, 25 toes to bar, and 20 SB
20
cleans.
20 meters of SB
20
cleans.
meter SB cleans.
So 4 rounds, 30 bike. We're back on the bike. 25 toes to bar. That's pretty normal. And then we've got some SB cleans. Sandbag.
cleans.
Okay. The reps start with the sandbag on the floor and the athlete's torso and feet facing directly down their lane. The sandbag must be cleaned over the shoulder, passing directly over the shoulder, higher than the shoulder, without torso rotation. If the feet move at all before the sandbag is released, and no rep will be called.
So they have to
Passes
clean it.
the end line. This is. I don't understand where the meters come in.
Well,
Did
you
you catch
throw it. You throw it.
Throw it as far as
behind-
you can.
Yeah, and then you
Oh,
run
okay.
back.
That's what.
to it.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Maybe.
So the farther you can throw it, the less work you have to
That's
do. I guess.
interesting. That's interesting. I kind of
Yeah.
like this workout. Not so much the 30-calorie bike for 4 rounds,
Oh,
but
yeah, that's terrible.
I don't know. Overall,
That seems like a longer workout.
yeah. Yeah. What do you think overall with those? That's what,
Is that
8
the last
events
one?
for the individuals? That's the last one.
I mean,
Just overall program, just on a glance.
No,
Of course,
I
this
like
is
it.
first reaction.
I like it. There's it's very games-esque. There's a lot of variation. There's a lot of movements that
That's
aren't.
what I would say the most about that is that regionals was because they had to do it under the same roof with the same parameters. And I think even Dave Castro and some of them said that regionals didn't really expand out like the games. So you might have got an individual into the games without being able to test some of these things. And of course, when you got to the games, they're running across a ranch, they're jumping over cheese or throwing cheese balls over, bales hay. And you just didn't test that in the regionals. And now you see these sanctionals, they'll do whatever they want to do, and test anything.
It's very. It looks like games programming. That's what's interesting about the games. You go, these athletes, they train in a gym the same way we do. They typically do the same movement, same types of workouts. And then they get thrown into the games, and there's always movements that are, okay, let's see what you do when you have no experience. Let's see how athletic you are.
Right.
And that's
how you adjust.
Similar to this, with the sandbag cleans, it's not a typical movement. And then you got stuff like the single arm dumbbell thrusters while you're holding 2 dumbbells.
And that's what I was saying. Like, regionals never really introduced anything too crazy. I think you just saw more CrossFit. You saw the Open, which you almost could, I don't want to say predict, but it was the Open. Like, you had athletes that are doing the Open that are never going to move forward, and you got to kind of keep that in consideration. Now you have people at regionals that are they're trying to get to the games. Like, they're the next level. But again, I think they were always handcuffed a little bit because they were in a stadium for the whole event. If they were going to run, they had assault runners. They didn't go outside for anything.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now you get these filthy 150s, and Wadapalooza is going to be in the water. Granite Games is going to be outside. They're going to look a lot like the game. So now you're really kind of testing an athlete to go to the next level and produce like they're going to do there.
I kind of like, if you're a swimmer, you might want to compete at Wadapalooza,
Right.
And then you can show.
Oh, right. You can pick and
that.
choose, right?
Yeah, you can show that at the games when they do
There's
the
strategy in
500-meter swim.
Exactly. Your strategy in what events you take on. Now, of course, you probably don't know what the workouts are just yet, but kind of what they're going to be targeting too. So, I don't know. I like the whole change up as far as what the CrossFit Games did and how they're approaching it. A lot of people aren't probably on the same side.
I do like this event. I like the workouts. I might have to keep an eye on it next year. I might have to go back and watch it actually because I do want to see some of these workouts performed. I like it.
Trying to find the next one coming up, but sanctionals, so Dubai, I remember being one of the next ones, and that might be the next one. That was the first one last year, was Dubai.
Yeah.
I remember Dubai being the first one, and that should be the next one. I'm going to give you a date on that. And guys, if you're at all in CrossFit, this is, I think where to support and watch the sport if you're interested at that at all. December 12th through the 15th is the next one, and that's Dubai, the Dubai CrossFit Championship. And, see who the next athletes are going to be into the games, and this is how they get there. This is how they paved the way for the sport. So Wadapalooza will follow after that. Australian CrossFit Championship, CrossFit Fittest in Cape Town, CrossFit Strength and Depth, Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge. CrossFit Italian Showdown, Asia CrossFit. I can't say this word either. Ray Kajavac CrossFit Championship, Brazil CrossFit, Down Under CrossFit, the Rogue Invitational, CrossFit Lowlands, the Granite Games, and the CrossFit French Throwdown to end the season. And then, of course, we'll know who's all going to the game. So, every month, pretty much, you have something going down.
Yeah.
Some months, multiple events. So, it's always interesting to see some of our favorite CrossFitters.
The only thing I hope that gets better is, being able to watch, where you're able to watch. Because a lot of these, they do the broadcasting themselves, CrossFit doesn't really help them out at all with that, and it's sometimes hard. Like, there were a few sanctionals last year that I tried to watch, and I couldn't figure out how to watch them, so I didn't end up,
Right. Yeah, it looks like they have a nonstop recording here. I know I saw a bunch of YouTube stuff for this one. Reebok was involved, Alico, and then, of course, CrossFit and they have on the games.crossfit.com site day 1, day 2, and day 3, and I think you can break down as you're watching it. But yeah, that needs to improve, and maybe they're waiting on something. I'm not sure, but so that's CrossFit talk.
Yeah.
I think that is episode. We're on episode 4, huh?
4. This will be a month.
Wow. So we're still alive, guys. We're still doing it,
Yeah.
and excited to have you listening. Of course, we always want any sort of feedback, input, and give us some topics to talk about. This is the Olympian project. This is your project. We're here to kind of start the conversation, maybe throw out some insight, but also bring people together that might have the insight too. We'll talk a little bit about CrossFit and fitness and health as well. But if you've got other regimens that you follow, things that you keep track of, and how you do your workouts, we are open for any sort of involvement from any of those capacities of how you improve yourself. So, want to hear from you, and I think that's gonna do this one, huh?
All right. Yeah.
All right, guys. Check us out on all the platforms, and we will see you next week.
See you.